Yu-Gi-Oh! Or what Dan Green would say, this project idea has been back in my mind since 2024. Unfortunately, one of my projects is still on hold, so you have to do with this. But hey, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! What more do you want? Now, of course, this is just a story idea. I'm not going to make, well, like I did before with my previous Yu-Gi-Oh! Story and use subtitles and that's it, no voice actors and everything. But in this project, I would like to do, just like the Pokemon story, I would like to add my OC, Omega, into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Now, of course, he isn't going to be best buddies with Yugi Muto right off the bat. He isn't going to be his childhood friend or anything like that. Or he's going to be like a bully. What I got for this character is a growth. You know, like he's going to start from the bottom and grow into a better Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. How's that going to happen? Well, let's start the story, shall we? Domino High School. This will be the place where my character will learn about duel monsters. Not through Yugi Muto, but one of the classmates that's playing duel monsters. My character Omega would ask him, what is he playing? And of course, he'll be answering the question, duel monsters.
Drooling monsters?
Duel monsters, you Nimrod!
Curious about the game, my character would like to join, but unfortunately he doesn't have a deck. But the students in the classroom help him out by giving him cards that they never use. Now of course, I am not going to name my character's 40 card deck. I am going to name 5 monsters and the 3 spells and 1 trap card that he's got. And I just want to point out, one of them is a fusion monster. Since it's the era of Yu-Gi-Oh! When fusion monsters can be summoned, like Flame Swordsman, I'm not going to give this character any fusion monsters in this version of Yu-Gi-Oh! But don't worry, if this video does get good, I will do GX and I will give my character fusion monsters. So the cards he's got is White Dolphin, Unhappy Maiden, Hero Shadow Scout, Bolt Escargot, and no, I'm not joking, and the last monster, pun intended, the last warrior from another planet. Now the only 3 spells and 1 trap card that my character's got is Dark Hole, Moon Curry, Pot of Greed, and the trap card is none other than House of Adisa's Tape. Which of course my character's not going to be using because come on, 500 points. Now after practicing using the deck, he managed to win. Now of course, he knows this deck is bad, so he asks if there's any place where they'd sell cards. And lucky enough, they do. And that would be Yugi Muto's grandfather's card shop. So when school's finished, he headed straight to the card shop. Once Omega arrived at the game shop, he was warmly greeted by Solomon Muto, and once Omega told him that he knew his duel monsters, he showed him the packs. Now Omega didn't know which one to pick, so he picked 5 and let Solomon Muto pick the 6th one. Now before you ask how many cards are in this pack, there's just 5, okay? Just 5. So my character is going to get 30 new cards. As for the cards he's got, well, they're completely random. He did receive some bad cards, like Petite Dragon, Dark Piercing Light, Lala Lulu, Eater Bee Boom, and Final Destination. Now he does receive some good cards. For example, Bean Soldier, Great White, Atlantean Pikeman, Muka Muka, Spirit of the Harp, and Stone Statue of the Aztecs, as well as 2 level 7 strong monsters. The first one is the normal monster, Mikizuki Huiver, and the second monster, the unpopular Sword Hunter. As for his spells and traps, he did receive some good spell cards, Banner of Courage, Stop Defense, Monster Incarnation, including Monster Reborn, and Stem Pack. And for the traps, he's only got 3 good ones, but only 1 of each. Trap Hole, Dust Tornado, and Energy Drain. But when he opened his last pack, that Solomon Muto pick, he's got the 3rd strongest monster in Duel Monsters, Tri-Horn Dragon. Solomon Muto was surprised. He sees his grandson and customers opening packs and sometimes getting some rare cards, but never have seen Tri-Horn Dragon opening in his card shop. Omega was curious and asked if it's good, and he said it was very good. Omega thanked Muto for the cards and headed back home to improve his deck. On the next day after school, Omega battled against his students with his newest deck, and lucky enough, he managed to win 3 duels, and one of them even commented saying he might be able to defeat Yugi. Omega said he might do, so he decided to go to Solomoto's game shop again. As soon as Omega arrived at the game shop that afternoon, he saw Kyber leaving the game shop and entering the car. Not knowing what just happened, he decided to enter the game shop. Once he got in, he was introduced to Yugi, Joey, Taya, and Tristan. Solomoto was happy to see Omega, and even told Yugi that he is new to the Duel Monster trading card game, which Yugi was happy to hear, including Joey, who would like to battle against Omega since he's in the same level. Omega blushes and said he's still new to the card game, and he came back to the shop to get some new cards for his deck. And lucky enough, Joey was going to get some new cards for his deck as well. So the two opened some packs, but Omega still had a bit of money left, so he asked for some more. Unfortunately, Solomoto didn't have any packs left. Yugi then recommended if Omega wants some more packs, he can go to another shop. While Solomoto didn't want to recommend any customers to his shop, it was a very sketchy shop, but the old lady was very nice. So after getting directions, Omega headed to the second card shop. Once Omega arrived at the other card shop, he was warmly greeted by the old lady. He even told her that she was recommended by Solomoto. She smiled and said if that's so, and he asked politely if they both have a rivalry between shops. And she smiled and said, "You can say that." After opening 5 new packs, he got some decent monsters, as well as a very special spell card, Black Pendant. He said thank you for the cards and headed home to improve his deck once more. Now the next day, Omega felt like he was ready to face off against Yugi. Now I just want to point out that this isn't Solomoto's deck, so we don't know Yugi's original deck. All we know that he had Black Land Fire Dragon. So if you want to think of any classic Yu-Gi-Oh monsters for Yugi's deck, you may do so. However, if you pick either win or lose for my character, something will happen. So whatever you choose right now will affect the story. But as for Joey, well, honestly, you know how bad he is from Yugi at the beginning. So whatever you pick, either win or lose against Yugi and really won against Joey. Now let's start the first arc, shall we? So it's the next day after Omega battled against Yugi. Once he got back home, he found out he got a mysterious parcel. Now, once Omega opened it, he found a glove, 2 star chips, and an envelope. Once Omega opened it, he found out he was entered into a special tournament known as Duelist Kingdom, and it was a letter was written by none other than the creator of Duel Monsters, Maximilian Pegasus. He even receives 5 special cards, and knowing that the ship is coming in 3 days to take the Duelist to Duelist Kingdom, and the winning prize of winning the tournament is $3 million. Or in my case, £3 million. Now, of course my character did tell his classmates about where he's going, but unfortunately they can't go. But to be with them in spirit, they decided to give him one of their cards. Omega received 7 colored fish, Cyber Falcon, Maiden of Moonlight, Gear Golem of the Moving Fortress, Sonic Duck, and Soul Tiger. Feeling like he's got good enough monsters, he decided to go to the old lady's shop and get some good spells and traps. For example, Block Attack, Nightmare Steel Cage, Smashing Ground, and Fish Her. For the trap cards, Shadow Spell, Weighted Ruins, Barbaku, and Strike Slash. The old lady was happy that Omega received some good cards. He's entering a tournament known as Duelist Kingdom, so he needs all the best cards he's got. The old lady heard about the Duelist Kingdom and heard that Duel Monster players are coming to her shop. When Omega heard about this, he decided to just buy one more pack, but the old lady was so kind that he gave Omega this pack for free. Omega was happy about this and opened the pack. Omega was happy about the cards, but what made him more happy was to receive the most powerful trap card known as Mirror Force. The old lady was happy about this and wished Omega the best of luck. 3 days have passed and the Duelist Kingdom boat has arrived. Omega has entered to the Duelist Kingdom along with Yugi and Joey. He even traded some Duel Monster cards, Green Pharaoh King for Jelly Bean Man, and Queen Autumn Lee for Marauding Captain. Now he did trade off the cards he didn't use, and not the one in his deck. At the end, he managed to get some pretty good trades. Once Omega arrived in Duelist Kingdom, and Pegasus announced the rules that we need 10 star chips to enter into the finals, and if they don't have any star chips, they immediately set home by boat, and they have only 48 hours. But before leaving, Omega wished Yugi and Joey the best of luck, and hoped to battle against them in the finals. As soon as Omega parted ways with the 4 trio, fireworks exploded, announcing that the Duelist Kingdom was about to begin. Omega's first duel was a cocky young duelist, whose only demand is to bet 2 star chips. Omega reluctantly agreed and battled the Cookie on Duelist. His deck, heavily made on spellcasters, was very difficult. However, Omega's heavily mixed deck was able to counter some of his spellcasters, but once he called out his ace monster, Trance the Magic Swordsman, Omega countered it with his own ace monster, Trihorn Dragon, and once he defeated ace monster, Omega was the winner and received his 2 star chips, putting him up to 4. Unfortunately, once everyone else saw Omega's Trihorn Dragon, they reluctantly walked away from him since they know they can't defeat his monster, so he headed to a different place to duel. Over time, Omega did find one opponent, but he had one condition: Omega can't use Trihorn Dragon, which he accepts, so he replaced his Trihorn Dragon for his 2 less stronger monsters, Mikizuki Huaiber and Sword Hunter. As for the star chips they bet on, they both bet 2. Now my character did summon Mikizuki Huaiber, however the opponent summoned his ace monster, Mythical Knight of Jackal, which its effect is pretty devastating. When it destroys a monster at the opponent's side of the field to the opponent's graveyard as a result of the battle, it can be sent to the top of the deck. Omega then tried to struggle and tried to draw his second strongest monster, Sword Hunter. Unfortunately, Sword Hunter wasn't a match against the Mystic Knight of Jackal, but after looking at him properly, he found out he could win. First he summoned Sword Hunter and equipped him with not 1, but 2 equipped spells. The first one of course is Black Pendant, but to increase it even more and to win the duel, he used a deadly spell card known as Stem Pack. The reason why it's deadly because the equipped monster would lose 200 attack during the standby phase. But thanks to 2 equipped spells and Sword Hunter's attack points, Omega won the duel. Now Omega has 5 star chips. Now of course it's near the end of the day, and Omega still only has 5 star chips. However, he overheard that there were 3 powerful duelists. After knowing their names, he had to find them, and they were none other than Zigor, Sid, and Barnes. So these 3 haven't met Bandit Keith yet, but even so they were not messed around with. He battled against all 3 of them, only bidding 1 star chip each. However, all we know about Zigor and Sid, Zigor's ace monster is none other than Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, and Sid's ace monster is Flame-Winged Pegasus. I would say that Zigor was using a dragon deck, while Sid was using like a fire deck. However, Barnes didn't want to duel Omega after he defeated 2 of his comrades, but they bound to defeat Omega, which obviously they don't. However, the next day, Omega tried to find his next opponent, but unfortunately he couldn't find any duelists. So he headed back to the castle to try and find maybe an opponent or 2, and lucky enough, he managed to find one, and it was none other than the champion, Bandit Keith. Now I know I'm changing the story, but it was either Bandit Keith or My Valentine. It was a hard choice to make, but I decided to pick Bandit Keith. Even though My Valentine won off screen, she lost on screen once and surrendered twice in Duelist Kingdom. Anyway, let's continue on with the story. In Omega vs against Bandit Keith, he did cheat, as well as summon Barrel Dragon. However, Omega did counter it with his Trihorn Dragon. But Bandit Keith didn't give up and summoned his most powerful fusion monster, Gatling Dragon. He did destroy 3 of Omega's monsters, but when it was Omega's turn, he used the spell Monster Reborn to bring back Trihorn Dragon and defeat Gatling Dragon. Now of course Omega won, however Bandit Keith didn't accept the loss and he was going to steal Omega's star chips. However, since Omega was near the castle, security was able to stop Bandit Keith. Now that Omega has 3 star chips, Omega can enter the castle now. Now everything still follows. Pegasus won against Kyber with his Toon deck, and My Valentine lost against Yugi. But instead of Joey versus against Bandit Keith, it's Omega against Joey. And to top it all off, My Valentine did watch Joey's duel against Omega. Unfortunately, Omega did lose to Joey. Even with his Trihorn Dragon, it was no match against his Time Wizard or Red Eyes Black Dragon, which makes Omega in 3rd place in Duelist Kingdom. But even though he wants to watch the next duel against Joey and Yugi, he decided to go straight home. But now Duelist Kingdom is over, time for the next arc. So you know my character isn't hanging out with Yugi and his friends, but of course you must be saying to yourself now, then what is he gonna do until Battle City starts? Which of course he doesn't know about. Well, instead of being pestered by a 12-year-old girl, or 8-year-old if you watch the English dub, getting trapped inside a video game, and dungeon dice monsters, my character's been saving up, buy new packs, and of course enter into a tournament that Yugi and Joey doesn't even know about. Now, my character is still playing Duelist Kingdom rules for now, but his opponent is a female duelist and her deck is full of female monster cards. Now, my character defeated nearly all of them, including her strongest monster, Wingwaver. But it wasn't enough, and she called out the second strongest monster in all of Duel Monsters. It was stronger than Trihorn Dragon, but weaker to Blue Eyes White Dragon, and that monster is Rabbit Dragon.
What? What the f?
I know, but wait a minute. Has this monster appeared in an anime? Yes. Is it stronger than Trihorn Dragon? Yes. And would it be perfect to add this card into the original Yu-Gi-Oh? I don't see why not. Besides, it is a normal monster, but now you must be telling me how would Omega defeat something that strong? 2 cards. Monster Reborn, bring back Trihorn. Then equip Trihorn with Stem Peck. Easy and done. Omega gets new packs, as well as a winning prize card, White Horned Dragon. So my character got a mysterious invitation. After going to location, he meet up with Yugi, Taylor, and My Valentine, as well as a bunch of other duelists. As for the one who sent the invitation, and it was none other than Kyber, who's setting up for, you know it, Battle City. Now my character tagged along with Yugi and his friends, so Yugi, Omega, and Joey can each get a duel disc, and as you know, the mystery in the shop had 3 duel discs. Now of course, my character needs qualification to enter in the tournament, Yugi having 5 stars and his rarest and used monster, Dark Magician. But my character, he's got 4 stars, and of course his rarest and used monster, Trihorn Dragon. Now my character tried to improve his deck one more time, as well as knowing the new rules for the duel in Battle City. As you know, fusion monsters cannot attack first when they're first summoned. Besides summoning level 5 or higher monsters needs tributes, only the top 8 can enter in the quarterfinals. And as always, if the opponent has no monsters on the field, then the monster can attack the opponent directly. And if you lose your spot, you lose your locator card, which was used for the finals, that you need 6 of them, as well as your rarest card. So as soon as Battle City started, my first character's opponent is this guy. However, the characters I pick have no names, so if you want to pick the names for them, let me know in the comments. As for his card that he's anteing up, it's Totally Defense Shogun. Now of course my character wins, he gets his locator card, and his rare card. The next duelist I'm going to have my character face is this one. She has no name, but she is a duelist. As for her rare monster that she's entering up, and I picked Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys. Now my character wins, I can also receive a locator card, and her rare card. It's still daylight left, and it's the afternoon, and after searching around, my character found another opponent, and it's this guy. And before you say, is it going to be another monster? It isn't. It's actually a trap card, and it's none other than Call of the Hunted. Of course, he defeats him, and receives his locator card, and his rare card. He feels like it was enough, so he rests up ready for tomorrow. Next day, after meeting up with Yugi, Joey, and My Valentine, he finds out that Joey still has 2, Yugi has 3, Mize has 4. Before splitting up, they all said good luck to each other. After splitting up and looking around for his next opponent, and the next duelist Omega tried to defeat, is this one. However, he was easily defeated, and gives Omega his locator card, and his rare card, and it was none other than Heavy Storm. But before leaving, he told Omega about a strong duelist looking for a strong opponent, and seeing how easily he defeated him, he thinks he can defeat her. So after walking to the plaza, he meets up with the strong duelist that he heard about, and after looking around, he finally found her, or she found him. Now this one was very difficult. As for why, well, she's got a monster with the same attack points as Blue Eyes White Dragon, but its effect can negate spell cards, and that card is Horus the Black Flame Dragon, level 8. She even jokingly said if he beats her, he can have the entire deck, which Omega accepts. Even though he can't use his spell cards, he can still use his traps and monsters. And after bringing back one of his monsters from the graveyard, using his newest trap card called the Haunted, and by tributing that monster, he was able to summon his newest dragon, White Horned Dragon. and by banishing 5 of her spell cards from her graveyard, it was enough to defeat Horus. But she didn't back down. She activated a track card, Rising Energy, to give Horus 1500 extra attack points. As for my character, he managed to counter it with his newest track card, Trap Jammer. And after playing that track card, my character won the duel and received a deck and her locator card. However, just as I said before, only 8 duelists can enter in the quarterfinals. So, how am I gonna fix this scenario and keep the original story? Well, let me explain. As soon as Omega obtained his 6th and final locator card, Isizu appeared and asked to duel against Omega for all 6 of his locator cards. However, Omega disagreed and told her that he has no reason to battle against her, since he has all 6 locator cards. But if Omega didn't duel against Isizu, it will count as a forfeit and all the locator cards will go to her. Omega was upset about this and had no choice but to duel her. Now of course, Isizu has the magical Millennium Necklace, which lets her see the future of her opponent's move. And with her magical cheating ability, my character lost, but she only takes the locator cards. And with that, my character is out of the tournament. But it's not the end of his story just yet. There is still one more story to be finished. While Yugi and his friends in Kaiba were trying to save the world again, while my character is trying to improve his skills. While my character is still using Trihorn Dragon, he's also been using Horus the Black Flame Dragon. And ever since that loss against Isizu, he's improved even further, enough to get into the finals. Now of course my character wins in the finals, but if he beats his next opponent, he can enter in a special tournament, which my character accepts. And who's his next opponent? He is from the Grand Championship, and in the original story, also he does manage to enter into the semi-final round. And that character is, no, definitely no, this one. His name is Balfrey Ginger, and he's a magician. And obviously by his appearance, he runs a spellcaster deck. Now, I know some of you would say Dark Magician, but for me, I'm gonna give him something different. And the monster I'm gonna give him is the legendary Flame Lord. So once my character defeats Balfrey, he takes his spot into the Grand Championship. Once my character improves his deck, he enters where the tournament is held, which is Kaiba Land. Now everything sets out just like in the anime, except my character being trapped inside the Kaiba Dome. He obviously meets Yugi and his friends during the announcement of the strongest duelist in each country. And the next day, it was an announcement of the opponent. And since I don't know my opponent's deck, I'll have to judge them by their appearance. So my character's opponent for the first round is Jafar. I mean Jafar Shin. Now I know some of you would say Lajar, the Mystic Genie of the Lamp, or if you still remember classic Yu-Gi-Oh, Lord of the Lamp, including Mystic Lamp and Ancient Lamp. Now he could have had those cards in his deck. But for me, I'm gonna give my character a challenge and use an archetype from 2005. And that's right, Volume 1 of Dark Revelations, a Gravekeeper deck, but only from that pack set. After struggling to defeat him, my character won and headed to the next round, and his next opponent is Paul McGregor. Now I couldn't think of any kind of deck for this character, since he looks like Sherlock Holmes. Now my character defeats him and moves to the next round. The next opponent is none other than Siegfried Lloyd. And remember I told you there's a 2-path branch story? This is it. Okay, remember that first time my character faced up against Yugi and he'd win or lose? Well, if he wins, he would lose against Siegfried. If he loses, well, he beat Siegfried. So whatever path you chose for my character, this will happen. If you have chosen my character to lose against Yugi, my character would defeat Siegfried and move to the next round. If you had chosen my character to win against Yugi, he would lose against Siegfried. But you're curious about the ending of the other path? Here's what happens. My character will face up against Leon Wilson before Siegfried gives him Golden Palace of Strongberg, the anime version, not the trading card version one. Now my character wouldn't hold back against Wilson and ultimately win. And if you chose the other path that I told you about, my character will face up against Yugi. Now my character wouldn't hold back. He would use every skill he would use, from Duelist Kingdom and Battle City and every tournament. And before you say anything, he didn't use the Egyptian god card against Omega. And ultimately, in the end, just like Yugi, he wins, and that's it. That's my Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist anime journey. So I know you got a lot of questions to ask me in the comments, so I might well put it in the video as well. First of all, why Trihorn Dragon? I looked at Trihorn Dragon and I always say to myself, this has been the most underrated Yu-Gi-Oh! Card that I've ever seen. And after looking back, it was. Everybody I know that never plays this card. Most of them play Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, or Red Eyes Black Dragon. And it only appeared twice, in 5Ds and the original. So it's gotta be rare in the anime, but not very popular in real life. So I decided to give my character Trihorn Dragon. Second of all, why did I give my character Horus? It did appear in the anime in the GX version, and if you want to count the video games as well. But that's it. Plus, I use it when I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Tag Force. More specifically, Tag Force 1, 2, and 3. I stopped around 4 and 5, so I wanted to give my character Horus. Giving that lady, making her very cocky, just waiting for her opponent very stronger than her, is kind of a good idea, to be honest. Because having a monster that strong in that early day of Yu-Gi-Oh! Would let your guard down. Now, I know what you're going to comment down. Omega, what kind of deck did you give your character? At first, he had a heavily mixed deck. Some warrior monsters, warrior beasts, and even dragons. While they won't work together, my anime character's deck, spells and traps, improve, support, and defend. Now, I know your question will be, when will I do Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds? If this video does get good, I'll work on both of them. But as of right now, I'm going to take a break and work on my other projects. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a like, give me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. But this is Omega Emperor, and stay awesome.